Citizens who'd like to address the board on this public hearing? Any other citizens who'd like to address the board on this public hearing? Are there any citizens who'd like to address the board in this public hearing? All right, seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Mr. Ashcraft?
Yes, sir.
As far as disposing of this item, I know we have some timelines I guess we need to meet.
Mr. Chairman, my understanding is as a result of us not meeting again until November the 16th, the board needs to act upon this matter this evening.
We don't have another meeting in October.
Okay. All right.
County attorney tells us that signed documents are due no later than October the 22nd.
All right. Board members have questions of additional questions of staff or?
I guess I just have, you know, we're looking at future revenues and we're not looking at future needs. We're going to take future revenues that we're counting on from McKesson and others to put up a cash account for utilities. And I don't think that's being fair to every other entity in the county in terms of we've cut salaries. We're going to add positions when we add to some of these buildings, and we cannot continue to just future spend revenue we don't have. We have to come up with at least $1.9 million in a cash account in 2 years, and we have an additional $1.9 million that's going to be a step up for other debt that we're paying interest only on. I don't see how we can move forward without a better plan for how we're going to pay for this rather than future spending things we don't even have yet.
Mr. Chairman, I've heard a lot of discussion, and I certainly heard Mr. Bischoff tonight what he said about the debt and burying money in the ground. And recently we've heard some people that have been opposed to schools in the past jump on the bandwagon and support the schools, and that's all it's about. But I can assure the people of Caroline County, and if you look at the numbers that have been shown here, if it was not for the lines that we put in the ground 20 years ago in 1990 and 89, we wouldn't have been able to have the new school that we have. We wouldn't have been able to have had the renovations that we have had to the schools. We would not have a lot of the things that we have in Caroline County today. For instance, just in school operations, in the last 5 years, I take it back, last 10 years, the county contributions increased by $3 million. The Sheriff's Department has increased by $2 million. Fire and Rescue has been increased by $2.5 million. There are many areas that money has gone into that we would have had to otherwise pay out of our pockets. I think that regardless of whether we have people coming to this county or not, we had to build new schools. We had the new middle school. We were told in I think it was 1989 or 1990, that the school was outdated, the lab wasn't functional, and that the children of Caroline County was not getting the same quality of education because of these issues. It was not because of growth. We didn't have growth in 1990. It was because of the fact that we needed updated schools. We couldn't have built that. The same thing with the Lewis Clark Elementary School over on the west side of the county. It's the fact that, yes, the two schools were bulging and we had to increase the size of the buildings. However, if you look at the Ladysmith School and the Madison School that we used to be in, and look at the Lewis Clark and now the Madison School that we're now in, you can see the tremendous difference. The renovations and the updating of those schools are just tremendous. And so, you know, I don't like to spend money any more than anyone else does. However, I know that there are times you have to spend money to make money. And I personally believe this is one of the cases where you have to do that. I believe that if we sit here and do nothing when it comes to water and when it comes to wastewater then we're doing nothing but putting our heads in the sand and saying, let the world go by us, and we're just going to stay here with our heads stuck in the sand. And I personally don't think that's good for Caroline County, and I don't think it's good for the citizens of Caroline County for that to happen. We've heard about McKesson, $500,000, basically at a minimum. It's going to be $500,000 of revenue coming into this county, and that's per year. That's not a one-time deal. That is per year. If there's another McKesson that's waiting on the outside, wanting to come in, unless we do something to the wastewater treatment plant, we'll have to say no to them. And we'll have to say no to the 150 jobs plus that's going to be provided by McKesson. And we'll have to say no to the $500,000 of tax revenues they'll provide to this county. If I had my choice, I would say no. Let's not do anything. Let's not give people of Caroline Pines the water that they needed, or that they need. I'd say no to the wastewater, but I don't believe we have a choice. I believe that we have to make investments in the future, and we have to make them now. Having said that, if you're looking for a motion, Mr. Chairman, okay. Oh, absolutely. I'm ready for that.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I will stay here until tomorrow. So let's, that's what we need to do.
I don't think that'll be necessary, and I sure hope it won't. I just want to, it's a couple things. I think Mr. Akers has hit on some points, and the key is, if we looked at it, I've said this publicly, I'll say it again, is giving water to Caroline Pines in the best interest of the county? Because that's what each supervisor is supposed to look at, his decisions for the best interest of the county. If Caroline Pines were, and I'll pick on myself, in the middle of the Mattaponi district, it might not be super advantageous for the county to add on to that system. Caroline Pines, the location, has the unique opportunity of getting the county closer to the state fair, which does present some revenue to the county, which right now we're giving to Hanover. And it does, for me, have the best possible of all choices of being a mile or so, a couple of miles to the Hanover connection. So my personal opinion, that connection would be a lot better than us pursuing the Port Royal connection. That's, I'm sure, a discussion we'll have later. But it would be it's the most economical long-range or emergency plan we have. So from that sense, the Caroline Pines connection makes absolute sense. It's something we should do because the system will pay for itself. The wastewater treatment plant, we've got other people who want to come to Carmel Church. And we are in the position of saying, yes, we want you to come to Caroline. We want you to bring your jobs to Caroline. We want you to bring your tax revenue to Caroline. But if they do, we would have to expand the wastewater treatment plant. And for those who don't know the history, 5, 7 years ago, the bill for the wastewater treatment plant was $50 million. Then it was $40 million a couple years ago, and now it's down to 16. My concern is that we have to basically earmark some revenue to cover this local match we have to do according to VRA. And if we can, as a board, discuss that and say, okay, there's a possibility we'll use some of the McKesson, there's the Virginia Power Plant, whatever they're called now, Dominion, that's still out there. There are a lot of great things coming for the county. The question is, are we going to be prepared? So our decision now is to plan ahead and make those investments. And And I understand Mr. Bischoff is saying and a lot of other people, he's not the only one who says you're basically sinking tax dollars in the ground. But I don't look at it as sinking tax dollars in the ground. I look at it as investing in Caroline County's future. It's got to feel a little more comfortable about where we're going to get that local match from. And I need some more ideas of where that's going to come from. If we're going to identify some of the McKesson money, that's a possibility. But that's the one thing I need to feel good about, because that's not part of our normal borrowing. And if that weren't there, I wouldn't be talking now. So just kind of help me through if anybody can.
Why could we not? Why could we not add $1,000, $1,500, or $2,000 to the availability fee, and that's going to be set aside to offset this dollar amount that you're talking about. You know, yeah, I know that 1,000. If the developers want, and basically these 75 connections, 140 connections, they're housing connections.
Right.
And so, if a developer wants to build, he's going to pay another $1,000 to $1,500 or $2,000 for the availability. I'd much rather see it added to the availability fee, to be honest with you, than to take money from money that can be used for schools. The availability fee cannot be used for anything other than utilities for the most part. But this other money can be used for other things in the county.
140 times 1,000 is 1.4 million.
I didn't do the math. I don't know what.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
I did.
No. 1,000 is 140,000.
I'm sorry, 140,000.
But if you had $2,000, then that's $280,000, and you were talking about taking half of the $500,000 from McKesson. You've got your money there that's going to be set aside for 3 or 4 years.
What, Mr. Rogers, 2013, specifically what day? So that's 3 years.
It's fiscal
2 years. How do I get there?
Yeah, these got 18 months.
Okay, Mr. Popowitz?
Yes, sir. We've heard our former public utility director come up here on more than one occasion and tell us that we are reaching capacity on this facility. I don't think we can wait. Not only for the economic reasons, but because let me throw another word out at you: moratorium. Warrington went through that process several years ago. 4 years, you're stuck. You can't build anything. You can't bring a business in. Can't do anything unless DEQ and EPA say so. I do not want to put Caroline County in that position either. We have gotten the cost down, I think, as far as we can get it. I know that there are some people that would like to see us have a moratorium on everything in this county, but I'm not one of them. And I certainly don't want to see a moratorium on our business growth and development when we're at a point where we are probably in a better position than most counties in our region. And that being said, McKesson is the fruits of that labor. I think we can figure out how to get the money set aside, but we can't afford to not continue our economic development program. We can't afford a moratorium on anything in this county. That would kill our economy. We would be light years behind. We would not have schools. We wouldn't have any of those things that we are looking forward to, and you can betcha it'll come out of the pockets of our taxpayers.
So we can look at, okay, come to the microphone and make sure I hear you, please.
It's June 30 of 2013, so you've got basically the rest of this fiscal year, which is fiscal 11,
All my money this year is spent.
Right. You got fiscal 12
Right.
and fiscal 13. you've
So
got-
I basically
You've
have
got 2 budget years,
2 budget years, but,
because it's supposed to coincide with that jump up in debt service, which is in 2013.
so if I take $2,000 availability fee, water and sewer,
Surpluses.
140 connections, $280,000 from tomorrow, but we won't vote on it, I guess, until November. So it will be maybe from January 2011 until June 2013, 2.5 years, 75 connections a year, 150, maybe 37.5, 180, 190 to make the math easy. 200 would make it real easy. That's like $400,000. Then I still have to kind of identify, just tell me if I'm counting right.
It's 320, yeah. 16.5, 100 connections is 165.
Okay.
If
So,
you're looking at it that way.
okay, if we do that, we're on a start. Everybody makes a great point. I agree. I agree this is the best investment we can make. We've done a great job getting all the prices down. We've got to go ahead, you know, and I can count to 3. I just want to make sure that we have some kind of plan, and we're saying, you know, utility rates are possibilities, some of McKesson, theoretically, some of that revenue stream that we'll look at. Can Mr. Chairman, can you assure me that we'll do some sort of financial planning in our next meeting or so and make sure we put all this down, just to get an idea?
Well, Mr. Thomas, that's great, but we still have a $1.9 million step up in regular tax rate to go along with this.
In regular tax?
In debt, that's gonna have to come from somewhere other than this 1.9 that we're looking for reserve. So we've got to look at the whole picture, not just half of it. I guess that's my only point is,
Sure, and
it's
that's-
3.8 million.
And Mr. Sealy, there's gonna be some tough decisions. You know, that's our responsibility. I think, you know, as Mr. Popwood said, a moratorium is not an option. I mean, do you think that's an option?
No, I don't think it's an option, but I don't know that we've explored any other options we could do with wastewater or debt facility at all. What other options do we have?
That's what I'm asking you. I mean,
Well,
what other options would you
Well,
lay
look,
out there?
Mr. Shebel,
Certainly so.
what percentage of capacity are we now? 80, what?
The last numbers that were presented by Mr. Borshuk, he gave to Mr. Ashcraft about a week and a half ago, we've got 167 connections left in the system. That takes into account the houses now that are either foreclosed or no one's living in. That takes the current industrial park that we have capacity that's already pre-bought there. That also took effect of McKesson project. So we've got 167 equivalent residential connections left in the system today.
But as Mr. Popowitz said, and Mr. Borshak told us before, when we get to the X percentage, the state basically mandates we either expand or they put a moratorium. How close to that are
That's
we?
95%, and we're 82.3%. We've already hit the trigger to design. We did the design. Now we've come up with a better option with the design build.
So you're really telling me I can't wait?
167, it's going to take us, from today's date, if we move forward today, it's going to take 18 months to construct, and it's going to take us another 3 to 4 months to get to even construction. So you might as well figure a 2-year time frame. If we hit 75 homes next 2 years, we're going to be right on that number right there if we don't do that. If we delay a year,
Okay.
Mr.
You really
Chairman-
tell me I don't have a choice?
Mr. Chairman.
I don't see where anybody gives us an option other
I-
than
I don't
we
either.
have to move it forward.
But if you would, just allow me to share with you something that, and I know you spoke with him, and I think Mr. Thomas, you spoke with him, and that was the senior vice president of this region with McKesson,
Pete,
Pete. And one of the things he said was one of the reasons we chose Caroline County was because we saw Caroline County as a young county, as a vibrant county, as one that's moving ahead, and we wanted to be part of that. And so, again, I think if, I said earlier, if we stick our heads in the sand and say, let the world pass us by, then the McKessons in the future are going to pass us by. And we cannot afford that for the benefit of the people of Caroline County and for the future of Caroline County. That cannot happen. We cannot let that to happen on our watch, I don't believe. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, if we're through beating this issue up pretty much, I would make a motion
Horse isn't dead.
to pass a resolution providing for the issuance, sale, and award of water and sewer revenue bond series 2010B of the County of Caroline, Virginia, in a principal amount not to exceed $22 million, and providing for the form, details, and payment thereof. And also, part of my motion is the fact that this board must consider raising availability fees for water and sewer to help offset some of the set-aside that VRS is requiring us to have.
Identifying specific revenues
Yeah, I just said raising availability fees.
and identifying specific.
Huh?
And identifying specific.
Yeah, certainly we can do that, absolutely.
Then I'll second that. I'm sorry, but Mr. Popowitz, would you like to second?
It's okay, Mr. Chair.
You're the public works guy.
That's all right. You go right ahead.
All right, motion made by Mr. Akers, second by Vice Chairman, that we approve the resolution for the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same.
Nay.
Do you have abstention on the board? We'll do a roll call. Ms. Popowitz, how do you vote?
Vote aye.
Mr. Akers, how do you
Aye.
vote? Mr. Seeley, how do you vote?
Nay.
Mr. Thomas, how do you vote? And chair votes aye as well. Okay, next item number 7. Mr. Fincham, is this your item this evening?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, at its July 13th meeting, the board authorized staff to advertise a public hearing for the adoption of an ordinance to vacate a right-of-way or an alley of 15 feet in width in Milford. The alley subject to vacation is shown on the attached map and is referenced in the original Meadowview subdivision recorded in Deed Book 80, page 106 in the office of the clerk of the circuit court. The plat by state code is a valid subdivision as it was recorded prior to January 1 of 1953. Sections 15.2-2270 and 15.2-2272 allow the Board of Supervisors to vacate any interest in streets, alleys, or easements upon the adoption of an ordinance by that governing body. A property owner abutting the referenced alley approached the board or approached staff with the support of other property owners in the area, requesting that the board officially take action to vacate this alley, which runs between Healy Street and Park Avenue to the rear of those lots which front on Route 722. Staff contacted all the abutting property owners via letter advising them of the possibility of vacating this right-of-way and received no objection from any of the property owners abutting this property. And in fact, a number of properties over the years have actually incorporated portions of this alley into their properties, whether it's through the installation of fences, garages, et cetera, et cetera. So there's been some unofficial vacation of that alley already. As I stated, staff contacted the abutting property owners and did not receive any objections to this vacation whatsoever. And staff believes that the alley would serve no public purpose and that the vacation of the alley would not adverse property owners in any way. You have included in your packet an ordinance for your consideration should you decide to go forward with this vacation. And I'll answer any questions that the board may have.
Board members have questions of Mr. Fincham? All right. None? Okay, we'll go ahead and conduct the public hearing. We'll now open the public hearing at this time for the proposed vacation of existing 15-foot easement alley that connects Park Avenue to Healy Street in Milford, Virginia. The property is bounded to the north by the tax parcels 56C-340, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33, and bounded to the south by tax parcels 56C-3-18, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, and 32. Any citizens who would like to address the board on this public hearing? Are there citizens who would like to address the board on this public hearing? Please state your name and voting district, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is, excuse me, George Atwell. I live at 16023 Colonial Road, which is in the Bowling Green District. And as Mr. Fincher indicated, I am the one who instigated, if you will, this request for abandoning or vacating the alleyway. I live in a house that was built in 1966 and have visited that house off and on up until 5 years ago when my wife and I moved into it. And during that period of time, we have seen no use made of that alleyway by anyone moving from Park Avenue all the way through to Healy Street. I think that we probably have made some use of it to our own benefit for over the years that we could probably claim adverse possession, and that would be a way of solving the problem. But however, I do think that the property owners that I've spoken with, most of them, I don't represent any of them, but they've all agreed that it would be to their best interest as well as all of us to incorporate that alleyway back into our properties. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to respond. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Atwell. Are there any other citizens who would like to address the board on this public hearing? Are there any other citizens who would like to address the board on this public hearing? Are there any other citizens who would like to address the board on this public hearing? Seeing none, we declare the public hearing closed. Board members, how would you like to resolve this issue?
I make a motion to adopt the resolution to vacate the 15-foot right-of-way in the Milford subdivision.
Second.
Motion made and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. We'll take a real-time 10-minute break. The Board of Supervisors meeting, and I think I'm going to skip up to item number 9. Request from the Central Virginia Housing Coalition and reimbursement for proper fees. Mr. Fincham, you going to speak to this topic?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you have a memo and a brief attachment from the Central Virginia Housing Coalition and the Fredericksburg Area Builders Association, which discusses the Affordable Housing Awareness Week, which is scheduled from April 8th through 17th of 2011. These two organizations, in conjunction with financial institutions, builders, and other organizations, are working in Port Royal and Townfield subdivision in developing what's called a Street of Affordability as part of the Affordable Housing Awareness Week. Mr. Gary Parker from the Central Virginia Housing Coalition and Ms. B. Phillips from the Fredericksburg Area Builders Association are here tonight to discuss this program with the board. And specifically what they are requesting is that the board, as part of their program, reimburse the builders participating in this program the cash proffer value for that subdivision, which is about $5,900 per dwelling unit. So in short, that's the request. Ms. Phillips and Mr. Parker are here tonight to discuss that program and to specifically address the proffer reimbursement with the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, y'all are welcome to come up. Good evening, Mr.
Good evening,
Parker.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors. Good evening. I am Gary Parker, and I'm the Executive Director of the Central Virginia Housing Coalition, and that is a 501c3 nonprofit private organization that deals with housing issues within Planning District 16. With me tonight is Ms. B. Phelps, who is the Executive Vice President of the Fredericksburg Area Builders Association. They are also a nonprofit organization, a 501c6 trade organization. We're here tonight to talk about the Affordable Housing Awareness Week and the activities associated with that week and how this can benefit Planning District 16 and specifically how it can benefit Caroline County. This all started a while back when CVHC was awarded a $7,000 educational grant from the Housing Virginia to bring about this Affordable Housing Awareness Week. Housing Virginia is a state organization that is an advocate for affordable housing. The Affordable Housing Awareness Week was determined to be the best way to reach out to the community at large and bring the issue of affordable housing to many members and residents of Planning District 16. And we started working on this event several months ago. There are many activities that are planned for this week. It includes a kickoff breakfast with Congressman Whitman, who has agreed to be the honorary chairman. We have roundtable discussions in every locality in Planning District 16, which will discuss affordable housing. We have a HERO project scheduled for each locality. HERO stands for Housing Essential Repair Outreach. It's a program that CVHC does that helps. We use volunteers and donated materials, and we go out and we help either the handicapped and or the elderly repair damage to their homes at no cost to them. We also have planned during this week a tour of some affordable housing projects. One is a tax credit project done by CVHC and the city of Fredericksburg, and one in King George. I'm sure you've heard of Project Faith and their thing. We also plan a housing fair, a walk in the day in the shoes, and we hope some of you will participate in that. We also have an awards luncheon to help those that help put this on. The main activity, however, for the Affordable Housing Awareness Week will be the Street of Affordability. Here, CVHC has partnered with FABA to provide affordable housing at a single site where potential low to moderate income families can view several homes that meet their pocketbook. CVHC and the Fredericksburg Area Builders Association have looked at several sites and have chosen the Townfield subdivision in Port Royal to hopefully hold this event. To make this project work, however, it is necessary to reduce costs. And we have met with the builders to ascertain their interest in this project, and we're pleased with their cooperation, even when we asked them to lower their prices. We have also asked bankers to provide favorable financing for a spec home, which is kind of rare these days without having a sale before you build the house. We're also asking Caroline County to partner with us to help reimburse the builders the cost of the proffers associated with the lots in that subdivision. This will help keep the cost of the houses affordable. And this, of course, is a special one-time request that we're asking specifically for the Street of Affordability, and it should not have any bearing on past or future developments in this area. We see this as a win-win situation for Caroline County and for the citizens and for affordable housing and for all concerned, especially for this Affordable Housing Awareness Week. We'll be providing over $20,000 in advertising, advertising of the Street of Affordability, which will draw, we hope, people to Caroline County and provide workforce housing to those seeking moderate housing needs. The Street Affordability and the Affordable Housing Awareness Week should act as an economic stimulus for the county. When the houses are sold, to provide a positive tax base from a stagnant development that sat empty for several years and has been revitalized by this Affordable Housing Awareness Week. We ask that you consider all the attributes that the Affordable Housing Awareness Week and the Street Affordability will bring to Caroline County, and we hope you see that the viable project, the value in approving our request, and see the importance and the need for this affordable housing project. We ask your approval and support, your involvement in this most important project. Thank you, and we'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Parker. Board members have questions of Mr. Parker or staff? Mr. Popowitz, serving in your district. Well,
I guess I'm a little bit confused here. The price range of under $225,000, and we're talking about the Fairfield location here.
We're trying to hold that to $185,000.
$185,000.
Yes,
okay.
225 is too high.
That was how we beat the builders up.
Okay. You say that proffer money goes directly back to the builder, is that correct?
It
If
keeps.
you reimburse
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we reimburse that, that would go directly back to the builder.
Well, it goes to the builder who can afford to pay the price for the lot then. It helps him afford the lot to be able to build the house for that price.
Okay. If I remember right, the particular subdivision you're talking about, they already own those lots, correct?
Ms. Cantrell does.
Yes.
Helen Cantrell owns that.
Yes, she already owns those lots.
That's correct.
Okay.
There'll be other builders building on those lots.
Okay. Now, would this affect the entire subdivision, or is this just is this a one-time deal? Is it? I don't understand the focus of this.
It's a one-time deal. We have 6 builders that have stepped up and said that they would be willing to participate if we can work something out with the proffer fees. And we hope to get a maximum of 10 builders in, so it would be 10 lots.
It'd be 10 lots total.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it wouldn't affect the rest of their subdivision. In other words, it'd just be the houses, and you would find the clients. Is that what I'm hearing, or help find the clients? Is that right?
Yes, sir. It would be like an open house for the 2 weekends and during the week of Affordable Housing Awareness Week. It'd be like a homerama. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those. A single site where it's open, has open hours for them to come in and view the homes and tour it, and they would sell. The builders would try to sell the houses right there.
Mr. Fincham, do we know the number of homes that are in that subdivision, or lots in that?
16 lots available.
Yeah, there's 16 vacant lots, and if I recall, there's 4 to 5 houses existing in there now, and there's also a couple of foundations that were started, but the house was never completed.
Okay.
What you have in there now, in that subdivision, you have a fireman in there, you have a school teacher in there, and you have 2 people who work at Dahlgren.
Okay.
Existing houses in that subdivision.
I believe that's all the questions I have right now. Thanks.
I'm sorry, didn't
But
you?
that's all the questions I have right now. Thank you.
Ms. Daggers?
I too am confused when we talk about affordable housing. You're saying $185,000. If you're looking for affordable housing, I can take you into Lake Caroline, I can take you into Lake Landor, I can take you into Pendleton, I can take you into Belmont, and I can show you homes that are selling for much less than $185,000. And for Belmont and Ladysmith Village, those people paid the proffers, and they paid more than $5,500, or roughly that much in proffers. I know of homes in Ladysmith Village are selling for, I mean, really large homes selling for $185,000, $180,000. In Pendleton, you can get a house, townhouse for $154,000 or less. In Ladysmith Village, you can get one $149,000. So I'm not sure who we're trying to protect here, to be honest with you. I'm not sure whether we're trying to protect the builders or whether we're trying to protect the people that are going to live in the houses. And that's my concern and my issue is the fact, have we tried to get the lots reduced in price? What are the lots selling for?
Yes, we have.
What are the lots selling for in there? What's the
Lots are
builder going to
selling
pay for a
for-
lot in there? What is the builder going to have?
It depends on the lots. The lots are selling for $35,000 to $40,000.
I can tell you that there are developments in this county that are selling lots much cheaper than that. So if you want to look for affordable housing and to help out the affordable housing segment and people to get them in affordable housing, you may need to change the subdivision and look somewhere else where people are selling lots much cheaper. I do know of one development in Caroline County that's selling their lots extremely cheap in order to keep activity moving.
We've
keep
looked
things
at
going.
several. We've looked at several.
I'm sorry?
We've looked at several. None that would fit a single site, you might say.
Did not fit what?
A single site where the lots are contiguous.
Where people could come and look at them all in one general area or development as opposed to traveling.
And be able to
all
walk
over.
from one
Have you
house.
tried Ladysmith Village?
Not late, we did talk to the Christopher companies, but not particular for that development, no.
You may want to talk to them now. If you haven't talked to them recently, you may want to talk to them. Hey, it's worth a try.
Yeah,
You
we're
may want to
looking
talk to Tricord.
We're looking at single-family homes too.
I'm speaking of single-family homes. You may want to talk to Tricord.
We've talked to Tricord, and Tricord may be in on this.
Tricord
Put
was
you in
one
on
of
this
our
one?
builders.
Yes, sir.
I have a problem, to be honest with you. I have a problem with paying $40,000 for a lot and then wanting the county to reimburse you $5,900 or the builder $5,900 for proffer fees, which are going to help go toward the emergency services, the police department, and that's what the proffers are for, is to cover the cost of for the people coming to the county and the services they're going to require. And I have a problem with that, to be honest with you. If you're truly talking about, affordable housing and helping the people that need affordable housing, I'm not sure a $40,000 lot is cutting it to help those kind of people.
Okay, Mr. Seeley?
I have one question. What are the assessed values of the houses that are currently in there?
That I couldn't tell you.
I didn't hear you, Mrs. Carter. I understand. I don't want you to guess, but that's, I'm with Mr. Akers. I know there are plenty of lots in the county, and there are plenty of builders looking to do something on them. And the assessed values in there, I hate to see us try to build something for 25 or 30 or 35,000 more than the assessed values are in there currently, because we both know that's not going to be a good thing either.
Okay.
Caroline Pines, maybe another development we want to look at. Have you looked at Caroline Pines?
Yeah, we got 9 lots for $5,000 each.
There you go, $5,000.
Now we can look at it.
And we could use those connections.
If we hurry.
Yeah. Okay,
But my thing is that, if I could ask one.
Mr. Vice Chairman?
What you're saying is you want to create an actual street of affordability where X number of houses are basically affordable, and philosophically, I never really agreed with that because I grew up under what was called urban renewal, and I believe the best way to incorporate low-income housing is among more expensive housing.
No, it's not low-income housing.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. Affordable housing
Yes, sir.
would be to have some affordable houses closer to some houses that were personal personally, for me, out of my price range. So